Mark said, since he put on your mind just before
Right, so then I'll hit
So that and then 2 elections.
There's extra room too,
What's happening?
you know, extra space down there.
Yeah, I'm gonna lose this or something.
Gary, go ahead and push your. Clerk will call the roll. Here.
Present.
Devin Allen, Commissioner Precinct 2. Gary Dickens, Commissioner Precinct 3.
Here.
J.D. Johnson, Commissioner Precinct 4. Constitutes quorum.
Thank you. Our invocation this morning will be delivered by Reverend Alan Bentrup from St. Martin in the Fields Episcopal Church in Keller, Texas. After the invocation, please remain standing for our pledges.
Let us pray. God of light and life, be with your people this day. We give you thanks for our judge and county council members and for all the staff gathered here, especially those celebrating milestones in their service to our community. As they are faced with balancing good versus good and risk versus risk, give them wise and discerning hearts. As they map our county's way forward, guide them in the way they should go. Grant them enough foolishness to believe that they can make a difference in this world, that they can do what others claim cannot be done, to bring justice and opportunity to all God's children, beginning with the citizens who call Tarrant County home. All this we ask in the name of the one whose power working in us can do more than we could ever ask or imagine. Amen.
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 I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you, Reverend. Appreciate you. Mr. Manius.
Thank you, Your Honor, members of court. We have 3 announcements relating to the agenda this morning. Under the County Administrator section, item A4, this is the medical service agreements concerning Juvenile Services Department. While we are not going to ask for any action from the court today, I would like to take a moment when we get to that item on the agenda to brief the court on some of the things we've been working with Mr. Medlin and Juvenile Services and other areas as it surrounds the medical services at Juvenile. Also under the Administrator section, item A9, 9A12. This is a exemption to the travel policy, County Court number 9. We're going to ask that that particular item be held for 1 week. And then finally, members of court.
Now, we're just holding the one item with regards to, I guess that is that the only item on there?
That's the only consent item, yes.
Okay.
And then finally, members of court, when we, prior to us getting to the Administrator section, we're going to ask Mr. Tenasia to come forward and give us a presentation concerning a briefing item that we have on the agenda. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Court members, have you got anything to announce today? Okay, then we're going to move on into our approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of June the 28th. Move approval.
Second.
Okay, now, Commissioner, you're going to get a little bit faster. We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Today is our first Tuesday, and so it is employee recognition. Again, one of my favorite times of the month. Routine for you 5 years. When I call your name or what sounds like your name or alphabetically where your name should be, please stand, and I apologize ahead of time for mispronouncing your name. And then after we've finished with the whole group, we will recognize you, and then we'll move on to the next group. So starting with our 5-year employees, first is Rodney Ashan, Sheriff's Office. Vinny, you don't need to be standing up at that point in time. Misty Bettinger, County Clerk. Justin Bowles, Tax Office. Jana Bravo, County Criminal Court Number 1. Rhonda Chapman, Public Health. Kelly Clark, Medical Examiner's Office. Thomas Cox Jr., Sheriff's Office. Kyle Dorchester, Sheriff's Office. Brian Downey, Sheriff's Office. Nathaniel Eby, Sheriff's, yeah, okay, now of course you'd be here. So how do you pronounce the last name? Eby. Robert Esparza, Sheriff's Office. Carrie Farley, Criminal District Attorney's Office. Ariana Garcia, Sheriff's Office. Amani Hampton, Sheriff's Office. Talmadge Holmes, Public Health. Christy Humphreys, Medical Examiner's Office. Gary Kiesling, Public Health. Shawnee McLaughlin, Tax Office. Nikila Morris, Public Health. Taylor Moses, Sheriff's Office. Pablo Paulino, Sheriff's Office. Adali Perez Gon, Justice of the Peace, Precinct 7. Marcus Rink, Criminal District Attorney's Office. Leandro Rodriguez, Sheriff's Office. Jennifer Rodriguez, Sheriff's Office. Lauren Sexton, Criminal District Attorney's Office. Brandon Slater, Sheriff's Office. Carla Wright, Domestic Relations Office. These are our 5-year employees. Let's give them a hand. Now y'all can be seated. 10-year employees, David Kane, Facilities Management. Jesus Cortez, Sheriff's Office. Stephen Cuellar, Facilities Management. Alan Eliason, Precinct 1. Brent Azell, Criminal District Attorney's Office. Cynthia Gustafson, Criminal District Attorney's Office. Renee Lopez, Criminal District Court Number 2. Carl Lusky, Information Technology. Heather Montoya, Justice of the Peace, Precinct 3. Vanessa Perez, County Administrator's Office. Vanessa. Terry Ramirez, County Clerk's Office. These are our 10-year employees. Let's give them a hand. Now for our 15-year employees. Bertha Espino, County Clerk. Asia Ramirez, County Clerk. Ange Romaneri, Ange. That's right. Terry Wright, Juvenile Services. These are our 15-year employees. Thank you. For our 20-year employees, Sharon Bird, District Clerk. Ashley Eubanks, Domestic Relations Office. Ashley. It's almost like a whoop, but not quite. Albert Mercado, Sheriff's Office. Nita Roberson, Sheriff's Office. Willie Shepard, Facilities Management. And Christy Tolliver, Sheriff's Office. These are our 20-year employees. Now for our 25-plus years, I give them a call, and we talked with all of them yesterday. Our first is Yvette Castillo, Juvenile Services, 25 years. She started as a probation officer. The first day she got here, her purse was stolen. And she wondered at that point in time if, okay, is this really what I want to do? And she said that a lady who was her supervisor, Hope Harris, had really kind of helped her out at that time and has inspired her, I think, throughout her career. She's from Wichita Falls. And she said, you know, I expected to be here for about a year, and then I was going to go back home. Well, obviously, 25 years later, she's still with us. She said that the county, what she likes most was that the county had allowed her to put on a transformation awards every October. And this is for those folks, those kids really, who really transformed their lives. And I think the work that the people in juvenile services have been able to help them with has really helped them just completely turn their lives around. And that's very, very meaningful to her. She said, I love the family feeling. She said Tarrant County really takes care of their people. She said she knew she wanted to be a probation officer since she was 15 years old. And to our benefit, she went to school at Midwestern State University in Wichita Falls. And when she graduated, they didn't have any openings up in Wichita Falls. So again, she came down here expecting to be here 1 year. So the fact that they didn't have any openings have been a blessing for Tarrant County, because she's now been with us for 25 years. And Yvette, thank you very much for your service. Now, next was Teresa Marino. I called and I talked with Teresa, but she's on vacation this week and won't be able to be here today. But she said time has really flown by. She said, I came to Tarrant County because I was a single mom and I needed a good job with benefits, and Tarrant County has been that way and continues to be that way. And she says, I just love the opportunity. So when you see Teresa, be sure, she's at Green Bay, be sure and tell her how much you appreciate her work. Next is Latasha Paramore, detention officer at Green Bay. So you and, I guess, Teresa started at the same time. She started out as a sheriff's office as a clerk, Tech 1 at Belknap, then became a jailer and went to booking, has been on the floors, then to Green Bay, and has been at Green Bay now for over 20 years. What she likes most, again, is the family feeling and the benefits. She said time has really flown by. She said, I never really thought I'd be here that long. But she's glad she stayed now because the benefits. And I tell everybody, if we can get you past about the 10th year, and sometimes a little bit before then, and you look at that benefits statement, you decide this isn't a bad place to be, and maybe I ought to stay here a little bit longer because it'll be a great place to retire. Latasha, thank you so much for your 25 years of service. Now next is Donnie Denton, who's been with the Sheriff's Department for 35 years. And I saw him shaking his head back there. Now he is in jail administration. He's been pretty much all over the Sheriff's Department. The most memorable moment is you have 3 life-saving bars. And, you know, one of them was, I guess, a trailer fire where you drug the person out of the fire. Now, the first time I read that, because this was, you know, this would have been a conversation we had about about 15 years ago. I have down here drug guy out of trailer, but drug, I read it first as a drug guy that you got out of the trailer. That wasn't the case, I don't think. And then he had found a guy who had fallen down a hill, and he was able to get him help, and that's 2 of them. Now, what's the 3rd one?
The 2 was for the trailer house.
Oh.
It was on fire.
Oh, so yeah, okay.
And then the other one was for what you were fixing to say, that fell down the hill.
Yep.
Excuse me, fell down the hill and nobody could find it.
Wow. And he's glad you did. He said what I like most is the great people that he's had a chance to work with, both and the supervisors above him and as well as the people below him. Now, this was when at the 20-year mark, he said, I hope to be here for at least another 10 years. And so now you've been here 15 years longer. So he's still going. He's, you know, he's got, I think, 3 kids?
Yes.
And he's proud of every one of them. They've worked all over the place. When I talked with him, I guess the last time, we didn't talk about your son, but last time, yesterday, but your son was working in Weatherford.
Yes.
Is he still out in Weatherford?
Yeah, he does, he's a site maintenance on a roofing company.
Ah, okay. He has 2 daughters, and both of them right now are working from home. You know, we talked a little bit about COVID, and he said COVID was hard, and it hit us real bad. And, you know, we've seen that with the vacancies that we've got in all of our departments. And so he said we've just got a different group of people now. We can't tell you, Donnie, how much we appreciate the 35 years, and I hope you're with us another 10, 15 years. Well, you need to stick.
31st.
What's that?
January 31st.
January 31st. Well, I've got you beat by 31 days. Thank you so much for your service.
Thank you.
545. That's you know, we got great people that started in July. There's just not as many of you. And we appreciate very much your work and everything you've done for the county. We've got refreshments back in 504C. They'll take your picture, give you your pen, and have a cookie. Thank y'all. And I'd move that we receive and file employee recognition.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Judge, can you give me 1 second to get a picture?
Sure.
We got a new employee.
Well, you done missed that time.
Huh?
You done missed that time.
Did I miss it?
You missed it. I'll give you a second after the, you wanna. Okay, while we're waiting for GK to get back, court members, you have before you the consent agenda.
Move approval of the consent agenda. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. I think Commissioner Fickus forgot something during the commissioner's reports.
Yeah, we have a new employee in our office, and Catherine Rodder is moving from the penthouse to the poll house, to precinct 3, and today's her first day, and we welcome her and look forward to working with her. And so thank you.
And we're going to miss her in the penthouse.
Congratulations,
You want to tell
Catherine.
them about that other precinct?
No, that's okay. I was going to leave that to you. That's an elected
Okay,
official
I'll
statement.
wait.
Are we ready?
I want to know what Fickus is going to tell us about the
I'm
other
not
precinct.
gonna- I think that's,
We'll wait
I
till
think that'd be
another
good,
day.
yeah.
Okay, we are now to the administrator's report, and we have audience participation. Gerald Miller, would you please come forward? Go ahead, sir.
Good morning to this distinguished body. I'd just like to say that I don't take coming here to speak lightly. My mother was a former chief executive assistant to the county judge Mike Moncrief for many, many years. And I came here today to present some matters for this board's consideration under the topic of the general duties which fall upon its jurisdiction. Its current nominee to the Tarrant County Appraisal District, who is now the Madam Chairwoman of that board for the TAD, allowed for instances to happen at a current board meeting, which I feel are beyond the scopes and bounds of what's allowed. I think that every public employee, every public official should hold themselves to accountability in a manner which rises above the appearance of impropriety. At that board meeting, I was accosted by a sheriff while trying to exercise my constitutional rights to speak before the board. He literally, I was in a line waiting for the first 15 people to go in. I'm disabled by medical documentation. They told me to go in. This officer came, grabbed my arm from behind, told me I could not go in, pulled me to the side, pulled me off balance, making me put weight on a foot that has sustained severe injury and trauma, the right foot, and fall to the ground and refused to help me up. They made people wait in line for 5 hours to speak before this board meeting. They locked the doors to a public building. They refused to let anybody who was waiting online go in to use the restroom. Then they told people that they had to go to a local 7-Eleven down the street. And when those people returned, they would not let them go in to speak to the board after they had called in their names. I believe that there are pictures of the officer putting me off balance and making me fall to the ground. I had to call the paramedics to assist me to get up because he refused to assist me. And I think that the Madam Chairwoman, who is this board's appointed representative, should be removed. She knew about this conduct. She allowed this conduct to happen on her watch. And her actions give the appearance of impropriety for subjecting people to an intentional violation of their constitutional rights to redress the government for their grievances. And it's inappropriate, and I believe that this board should vote of no confidence or not renominate her for that position. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Members of the court, we can now go to the briefing agenda. We're going to ask Mr. Tenasia to come forward and give us an update concerning the coronavirus and other issues for county health.
All right. Good morning, sir. I'm here with a quick update on the COVID briefing. So we're slowly increasing our cases here in Tarrant County and it being in an upward trend. Nationally, the picture looks stable. It kind of fluctuates between 95,000 to 115,000 cases a day. So it's not a light load, but certainly it's not really broken out one way or the other. We're waiting to see what happens after this 4th of July holiday, and that might sort of give us direction. Whatever happens nationally, I think we're going to follow. But locally, like I said, the trend is up. We're in a medium. I wouldn't be surprised if we, continue to kind of rise for a while, given that we're just coming out of the holiday. All the travel destinations currently in the U.S. are at a medium or high spread. So people who are looking to take travel or vacation certainly need to pay attention to where they're going and take appropriate precautions. Few key things. A lot of people are eligible for boosters. They need to make sure they get their booster before they go. And then those who had boosters early, like back in October, November, December timeframe last year, they're kind of at the point of waning immunity at this point, so they need to start to wear their masks, make sure they take extra precautions, and avoid large crowds if possible. But otherwise, the only other significant change, we keep track of variants of concern. You might have heard that there's these two variants, BA4 and BA5. Currently, they're sort of shifting. The major load of cases are BA4 and BA5. Texas is part of Health and Human Services Region 6. That entire area is about 60% with BA4 and BA5. And part of the reason you're seeing some breakthrough with vaccinated people as well, because the current vaccines don't have an exact match with these variants. So that's the update on COVID. And then real quick on monkeypox. Again, there's progress in the outbreak. 460 cases in the U.S. and 12 in Texas. What was significant from last week was that U.S. has allowed a release of strategic national stockpile assets. We have in the stockpile about 64,000 doses. They're releasing about 56,000 doses of that vaccine called Jynneos. And it's going to go to, I'm sorry, I moved too quick. It's going to go to people that are at high risk, either they're close contacts of cases or healthcare workers who handle sampling or laboratory workers and so forth. But there's more plans. I think in the second phase, they're looking at about 350,000 doses, and then the government has a contract for 1.5 million doses. So that's good movement on the prevention front for monkeypox. And then worldwide, the outbreak has grown, 5,783 cases in 52 countries. So something to keep an eye out on, but in Texas, there's 12 cases, so we're kind of okay, but I'm hoping we stay there. So that's all I have. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Vinny.
Any questions? Thanks, Vinny.
Members of the court, we can now continue with the administrator section. On item number A1, we're requesting that the Commissioners Court receive and file the Tarrant County COVID-19 recovery report for the period of June 27th through July 3rd.
Move to receive and file.
Commissioner? Would you second?
Yes. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Members of the court, Mr. Schaffner is going to do item number 2.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners.
Good morning.
Good morning, Russell.
For item number 2, we have 2 action items for you today. First, we're asking you all to approve the changes to the FRF budget. We're making a few changes, 2 in particular, one relating to the employee retention policy that we will be discussing next, and the second is related to making funding available for some 4E funding, that federal 4E funding for juvenile services that was changed through some additional legislation at the federal level, and the change hasn't come down to funding change. So we're requesting those two changes.
Move to approve the budgetary changes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
And then the second item, we're asking you to receive and file the list of agenda items on this week's agenda.
Move to receive and file.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to receive and file. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Members of the court, if we can now go to item number 3. This is discussion and approval of a retention payment program for county employees. If I could just very briefly lay this out. As I think the judge mentioned earlier today, retention aspects of the county are reaching a critical point. We are down significantly in a lot of areas, and we have been working as a team at staff level with the county auditor's office. HR, budget has been involved, our office has been involved, and we believe and we are recommending at this time that the Commissioners Court consider and approve a retention payment program for county employees. In looking at, and we believe that the majority of the funding, up to $26.5 million of this, is eligible for FRF monies, that is one-time monies that we believe we can use. And in our analysis and the regs that the feds have placed on the utilization of FRF funds, we believe that and what we're recommending is that we have a retention payment, or actually broken down into 2 different payments for a total of $4,900 per employee, and that does not include $1,000 per employee for non-project temporary employees. We're also recommending that be in 2 different payments. One is a payment that we would like for the court to distribute in, I believe it's in July, August, and one is right after Thanksgiving. I believe that would be December 5th. And the purpose of that, and these will be out of payroll cycle payments, so it will not be on a regular payroll period, but it'll be that week in between. And these will be paper checks that the auditors recommended, and we agree. The timing on this is so that the first tranche of money, which is $2,000, would be in time for our employees to utilize as far as back-to-school costs for their kids. And the second one would be one for our employees that would coincide with right before Christmas, so there would be monies available for our employees during Christmas time. Just a quick note, we received a call from Commissioner Johnson this morning, and he wanted us to relay to the court that he is 100% in favor of this particular court action. So be more than happy to answer any questions that the court may have. If you do have questions, I may ask some of these other departments. They have worked extensively on this, and we're seeking your approval at this time.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Commissioner.
No, you go ahead, Judge.
The one question that I had is, what about making it, instead of having a $2,000 payment on August the 5th, and I understand the importance of helping with some of the employees as far as that back to school goes, but my preference would be maybe to do $1,000 on August the 5th, and maybe make another $1,000 on September the 23rd. And I'm assuming that this will be, if an employee is hired and comes on board on August the 4th, they get it. So again, it may help as far as getting folks to come to work for the county, as well as telling those who have worked for the county and have been through COVID with us how important it is that they stay with us.
So when we just a quick question to HR. So when we calculated this, we knew that we were talking about temporary employees, but did we list anything as related to full-time employees that would be coming to work as the judge had explained, where they were just on, it would apply?
Yes.
Okay. So we could do that. That would be extra work for the auditor's office.
Be one extra check.
And they're paper checks this time. So our recommendation is the August and the December payment, but it's the court that makes that decision.
I'm not concerned about the schedule of these payments so much as I am about the fact that we have to do this. Our employees have been beat up by COVID. They've been beat up by inflation, particularly the price of gasoline. That's just one of the things that you can feel most directly. But inflation has beat us all up pretty bad. We need to be able to retain the employees that we've got. We'd like to be able to position ourselves in the market such that we are seen by prospective employees as being a caring organization, one to which they would like to come and be employed. I think this will be a twofer for us. We'll take care of our existing employees and will help attract new ones. So I move approval of the retention payments, and I leave the structure.
So maybe 1,000 on August the 5th, 1,000 on September the 23rd, and 2,900 on December the 9th.
I'll incorporate that into my motion.
I believe those are not the dates that let's
Yep,
make sure.
those are Fridays, and they're counter to.
So working with the auditor's office, who's going to issue those checks, we just have a comment from the auditor's office.
So, we'll work on the dates. One of the things, when we went back to research how we did this back in 2010, was we do them as an adjustment. And it's really not an off-cycle check run. It's an adjustment as soon as we close payroll, and then they can be distributed after they're generated. So perhaps we could have some flexibility and simply understand that we're going to deliver them the 1st of August, the 1st of mid to late September, and then the 1st of December. And let us come back and give you the actual dates once we've finished. This has taken quite a bit of configuration work and work behind the scenes to make this be available again, because we haven't used it.
What she said.
I'm fine.
So we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please vote. Well, before we vote, I want to make it clear that elected officials are not a part of this.
That's correct. It is
This payment.
not a retention aspect as relates to elected officials.
Right. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Members of the court, if I could just say just a special thank you to Human Resources, to County Auditor, and to the Budget Department. Of course, our staff, they worked very diligently to be able to bring this recommendation to you all. So, members of the court, we could go now to item number 4. As we said at the beginning of the court, we're not going to be asking for any action on this, but I wanted to bring the court up to date as to activities that we have had as related to the various medical services agreements out of Juvenile. So Juvenile has on its payroll 3 medical officers. We have 1 physician that is a part-time physician. We have a registered nurse, and we have an LVN. And I'm sorry, we have 2 registered nurses. One is a person that is basically over the nursing process. Our medical officer out there, which works about 4 to 5 hours a week, has made a determination that they are going to step down from that position.
Is that person a physician?
Yes, it is. And we have had 2 vacancies, one in the LVN and one in the RN area. And so we've been working with Mr. Medlin Benny on this for the last couple of weeks because we are now at a point where that we only had one nurse left. And her daughter's getting married. And so, you know, we were going to.
In the
instruct-
juvenile detention center?
No. Okay, I'm getting off track here, right?
Just thought I'd,
So anyway, we've been working with Juvenile. We've been working with public health, and Vinny, appreciate all the things that you and your office has. Dr. Murtry out of public health and one of their public health nurses. We've also been working with Acclaim, which is the JPS doctors group. And so Dr. Murtry is going to serve as that interim medical director for about 3 to 4 weeks. We're getting a public health nurse from public health that is going to serve on an interim basis. And we have already spoken with Acclaim, and they are very interested in providing that medical doctor. And we're going through the contract mechanism now in order to accomplish that within 3 to 4 weeks. We have been advertising for nurses. We're going to need to bring, I think I've got this on a closed agenda item and closed today, dealing with salaries in order to become more attractive in that particular area for those 2 positions. And so I just wanted to make sure the court's aware of what we were doing so that, but we've got, if anyone is questioning if we have medical coverage, we do have medical coverage because of the team that they were able and we were able to put together. And we're moving forward on this, and we do not intend to drop the ball on this at all.
Thanks for your creative use of the resources that we have available across the county to address this specific need. Good job.
And a special thanks goes to all those teams that have been working on this. We've all been working pretty hard on this. So members of the court, if we can now go, we're not seeking any action on item number 4. Okay, great. So if we can go to item number 5, Ms. South is here to address the court at this time.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Megan.
So a couple of weeks ago, the Tarrant County Small Business Workforce Recovery Grant Program was approved by court. And in that outline that we had provided, one of the next steps was to bring a Section 381 program before the court for approval. We previously approved a Section 381 program for the CARES Act funding. So in order to provide for the granting of the $25 million allocated to assist small businesses and nonprofits in the county, we are requesting today that you approve the attached resolution creating and approving an economic development program under Chapter 381 of the Texas Local Government Code, known as the Tarrant County Small Business Workforce Recovery Grant Program, and authorize the payment of grants under this program from ARPA FRF funds.
Move approval.
Second.
And that would be approval not to exceed the 25 million?
Correct.
Okay. Any other discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Looks like
Move
Tina's
to
next.
receive and file the personnel agenda.
Good morning.
Sorry I'm late this morning.
That's all right.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. We have 3 additional items for the court this morning. They're all waiver requests, items 2, 3, and 4. So item 2 is a request from Judge Pat Gallagher. Judge Gallagher is requesting a waiver of 400 vacation hours effective tomorrow. His court coordinator is leaving county service today. He has named a replacement, and I've been having several conversations over the last several weeks. So he is ready to move forward with filling this position. Again, the request is for 400 hours effective tomorrow. We're estimating the net cost to the general fund to be approximately $16,267 and some change. That does include fringe benefits.
Move approval And I hope this will help Judge Gallagher schedule trials at the earliest possible date.
And this is the civil district court, right?
Correct.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Item 3, as stated earlier, is another waiver. This waiver comes from Judge Navarez. He's requesting a waiver of 240 vacation hours effective August 2nd. His associate judge is leaving county service August 1st. He too has named a replacement. We're estimating the cost to the general fund to be approximately $20,862 and some change. That does include fringe benefits.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
I don't think I'm too popular today. That's okay, I'll live with it. So our third and final item for the courts is
another approval.
Told you I wasn't popular today. Is another request for a waiver of paternal benefits, this time from Judge Kim. Judge Kim is requesting a waiver of 372 vacation hours. This is down from 396 vacation hours, so that's the good news.
Wait a minute. Where's the 396?
That was the original vacation balance, and so the person's been gone for a little while, and so we're down to 376 vacation hours. So that's something. You're not convinced? So the assistant court coordinator left at the end of June. And again, Judge Kim has a replacement. He's seeking permission to move forward. In order to do that, however, we'll need to waive the vacation hours. The net cost to the general fund for this request is approximately $11,358 and some change, and that does include fringe benefits.
And this isn't the court coordinator, this is the assistant.
Assistant court coordinator, yes, sir.
Sounds like this one's going to die for a lack of a motion.
You may.
It did.
Thank you.
Purchasing.
Good morning.
Yeah, that's yet to be determined.
We have 5 items for your consideration. The first item is an award recommendation regarding bid number 2022-040. This is the Dion Bagsby Southwest Subcourthouse additional work for facilities management construction services, awarding to Calco Construction in the amount of $1,364,035.19. If approved, we're also requesting contract approval and acceptance of the payment and performance bond.
Move approval with a question. Who is this company?
Calic Construction? And we've already had a scope review meeting with them as well.
I just never heard of them.
They have not worked with the county previously, Commissioner. Calc-C, they did have scope review. My team was there, and they seem to have all the items included in scope covered under the number. This will be their first.
Okey-dokey.
He made a motion. Would you like to second it?
I will second it.
Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
The second item is regarding RFQ number 2022-143. This is our annual contract for heavy-duty non-consent towing services for the Sheriff's Office. awarding to the vendors listed below in the court communique.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
And the third item is also regarding RFQ number 2022-144. This is our annual contract for light and medium-duty non-consent towing services for the Sheriff's Office, awarding to the various vendors listed.
Move for approval.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
And the fourth item is regarding RFP number 2022-119. We're requesting a rescind of court order number 138361 and approve the annual contract for printing and processing of tax statements. This is for the tax assessor collector, awarding to the primary and the secondary vendors listed.
What happened here?
The original secondary said that they couldn't, once we sent the award for the secondary award, he couldn't do the work as secondary. So he did not accept
So
the
we're
secondary.
just reshuffling.
Yeah,
of
we
this.
just reshuffled. Now we
Move
just have a
approval.
primary, new secondary.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
And our last item is a sole source designation to GovOS for remote marriage application subscription agreement for the county clerk's office in the amount of $113,000. And if approved, we're also requesting contract approval.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any appointments today? There being none, then we'll move on to the claims, including the addendum.
Move approval of the claims, including the addendum.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the claims, including the addendum. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. I believe we have some audience participations. First is Mr. Daniel Bennett. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, County Commissioners, Judge. My name is Daniel Bennett. During the fall of 2021, this court had the opportunity to choose an individual to represent it on the TAD Board of Directors. You chose Catherine Wildman. I tried to explain at the time why she was not qualified, but nonetheless, she was still chosen by this court and subsequently serves not only as a member of the TAD Board, but also the chairperson of this board. I don't know if you've been informed as to what has been happening with the TAD Board. However, it has been a poor representation of your selection as well as representation to the public. Ms. Wildman has no clue about what is happening regarding the TAD staff. The staff director at TAD filed several complaints with TDLR against a local real estate tax consultant. The problem with this is that he did this on taxpayers' dime with the official TAD letterhead, TAD emails, with signature with his title as Director of Residential Appraisals. Yet he claims to have done this as an individual, not as a TAD official. To make matters worse, the chief appraiser was made aware of this in October of 2021 and to date has not done anything to address the issue. On June 10th, during the TAD Board of Directors meeting, the tax agent, Mr. Chandler Crouch, claimed that this was all based on retribution against him by Mr. Armstrong, the head of residential. The TAD Board, under the guidance of Ms. Wildman, claimed no knowledge of any of this, so Mr. Crouch handed out a correspondence via emails to Mr. Law in November of 2021 regarding these complaints. Mr. Law, at the June 10th meeting, claimed he had no knowledge of these complaints, thus begins the cover-up. Ms. Wildman, at the June 10th BOD meeting, indicated that an executive session of the TAD BOD was needed to be called in the very near future. It was also directed that the chief appraiser, Mr. Law, should conduct an investigation into the matter. Mrs. Wildman wholeheartedly agreed on the strategy. Talk about the fox guarding the chicken coop. I'm going to skip down in my narrative. I got my complete narrative. I'm going to hand to your administrator because Mr. Gerald was just here and he brought you up to date on what just occurred this past Thursday. And it was an abomination, I think, to Mr. Miller. Currently, there are reviews currently being conducted to see violations of the State Texas Open Meetings Act, as well as the American with Disability Act violations. I think you get the picture between Mr. Miller and myself. There is a pattern of cover-ups at TAD by staff and by the board of directors. Ms. Wildman is complicit in all of this. So you say, why is this responsibility of the Commissioners Court? Very simple. This court appointed Ms. Wildman to the TAD board without doing its due diligence regarding her history and ineptness prior to her appointment in the fall of 2021. One last sentence, sir. Recommended solution is to demand her resignation immediately, have the board choose an individual to clean up the mess at TAD, which goes much more deeply than stated above. Thank you.
I would just make you aware, we did not appoint her. We nominated her, and then she was voted on by several organizations to be put on the board.
Yes, I agree with you. And that's
Okay,
Tarrant
well,
County College, too.
We did not appoint.
I'm also going there.
We nominated. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Next is Charles Whittemire.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can I get out before my time starts?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll make it very quick. Good morning, Judge, fellow commissioners. I'm here to request a response to a letter that I delivered to Mr. Manius's office on June 7th. You each have a copy of it here now. I'd like to read, it follows. As directed by Judge Whitley during the January 11 Commissioners meeting, I met with Hyder Garcia and Troy Hayward on January 14th to pursue election audits for Tarrant County. The meeting was not fruitful, and I left with the belief that real audits comparable to financial ones were not practical, and our election leaders did not see the need for them. However, I've since learned that there are systems for auditing electronic voting machine outputs to provide a parallel count of election results. One such system is the Audit Engine. The organization is based in California. The leader is a lifelong Democrat. In spite of his party affiliation, he claims a passion for legal and auditable elections. While I believe that hand-marked ballots, which are counted by hand in the precinct, are the ultimate solution, it makes more sense to use all available tools in the meantime. We can do this now. I believe our biggest obstacle to election improvement is the lack of will to address the need. As long as we cede control to the gatekeepers and decline to hold them accountable for verified performance, we'll fail. Bernie Madoff, Bernard Evers, and the Enron bunch were all trusted until things fell apart. That's not a good way to judge performance. Al Pacino had a great line, one of my favorites, in the movie Scent of a Woman, when he said, "I always knew the right thing to do, but it was just too damn hard." Our situation is not too hard, and you have the attention of an engaged citizenry. Second page. We have systems that can be audited. We have leaders who can make it happen. We have a large share of the citizenry who demand verified performance. I propose that we meet to work out a plan for solutions. We can share the available options and further describe them to you. I'd like to bring 2 CPAs to a meeting with you and whoever you feel appropriate. I believe we can make it most any time after June 28th. Please consider this and let me know your position. That's my letter. That's my request. Thank you for your consideration. Let's do something about this.
Thank you, sir.
I even made my time.
There you go. Next is Rick Schafferberg, and I know I mispronounced that, but I apologize.
Yeah, I apologize. I was going to talk last week, but I wasn't able to make it. Thank you, Judge Whitley, commissioners, and the Tarrant County electorate. Three weeks ago, I talked about evidence-based elections, and this is the ability not only to select the correct winner, but also to have supporting evidence that the actual winner was selected. And fundamental to the evidence-based election systems is auditability and auditing. So what are the characteristics of a good audit? Well, a good audits are performed by people independent of the election system, but overseen by election officials. A good audit is collaborative of the documentation. Like, for example, if you audit tabulated paper ballots for each candidate and propositions for a particular polling location, they should match the scanner tape results. That would show evidence that the scanners are counting correctly and also reporting correctly. A good audit all races. If a race is not audited, there's no statistical reliability that is associated with that race. There's no convincing evidence that the true winner was selected in a particular race that is not audited. A good audit has statistically meaningful sample size. In statistical mathematics, the sample size is critical to getting the statistically meaningful confidence level that your samples correspond to represent the whole. And a good audit selects polling locations using a random sample or group random sample. In the past primary election, current Tarrant County audits consisted of the Secretary of State's office selecting a minor state race and the Secretary of State's office selecting 4 polling locations to audit. The audits were performed by Tarrant County election personnel at the Tarrant County Election Center, where there were poll watchers able to observe. Given the proprietary and the lack of transparency in the mechanism for voting in Tarrant County, it's imperative to get at least a good auditing system to confirm post-election audit results. In my opinion, we do not have this in Tarrant County. So whether you call it however you call the audits that we have, it doesn't match what I consider good audits.
What I'll call the audits that we have is state law and refer you to the state representatives and Senate.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We have no other public comments, so at this time we will recess our open meeting to proceed to close to discuss items exempted under section 551.071, 072, 074, 076, and 087 of the Texas Government Code. Having returned from our closed session, there being no business to conduct at this time, we stand adjourned.